in the Department of Chemistry, KTHM College, Nasik. I am Mr. Vidi Jadhav, working as Assistant Professor. Students, in the last lecture, we are seeing the United States Pharmacopoeia and National Formulary. The Japanese Ministry of Health and Welfare (MHW) and International Conference on Harmonization (ICH) guideline on analytical method validation. In this today's lecture, we will see current good manufacturing practice guideline, method used in the analysis of biological samples, the European Community, the United States Food and Drug Administration, the Japanese Ministry of Health and Welfare (MHW), the Australian Therapeutic Good Administration, and lastly, summary of this chapter worldwide regulations. First, current good manufacturing practice guidelines. Analytical method validation is an essential component of a current good manufacturing practice guidelines, that is CGMPS. To quote the US FDA's current good manufacturing guidelines, the accuracy, sensitivity, specificity, and reproducibility of test methods employed by the firm shall be established and documented, and laboratory records shall include complete data derived from all tests necessary to assure compliance with established specification and standards, including examinations and essay as follows. A statement of each method used in the testing of the sample. The statement shall indicate the location of data that establish that the method used in the testing of the sample meet proper standards of accuracy and reliability as applied to the product tested. The suitability of all testing methods shall be verified under actual condition of use. Further discussion of current good manufacturing practice guidelines is beyond the scope of this chapter. More information on the legal interpretation of the FDA guidelines will be found in another chapter, that is chapter 4 in this reference, which details the recent case involving the United States versus Barr Laboratories. Next, method used in the analysis of biological samples. First, introductory part. Bioanalytical methods are defined here as chemical methods used to measure the levels of drugs and metabolites in biological fluids, such as plasma, serum, urine, and cerebrospinal fluid, etc. Measurements are usually taken to gain information on drug pharmacokinetics, product bioequivalency, drug in vivo interaction, and the effect of such parameters as disease state, age, and fasting versus feeding on drug adsorption. The validation requirements are somewhat different from those in pharmaceutical analysis, since the levels of drug being measured in biological fluids are generally much lower than in pharmaceutical products, normally in the picogram per ml to microgram per ml range. Further, bioanalytical materials are often more complex, involving more extensive sample preparation than is necessary for the analysis of drug substance or a finished dosage forms. Consequently, the acceptance criteria for accuracy and precision levels are somewhat more generous. Although the method must still be sufficiently accurate and precise to meet the requirement of the data to be generated from the analysis. Bioanalytical studies are applied in both the preclinical animal study and human clinical study phases of drug development. Validated analytical methods are required in each case. The extent of guidance provided by the regulatory agencies varies considerably and is not as well defined as in pharmaceutical analysis. Next important is European Community. The European Community Guideline provides basic guidance on the presentation of data on the validation of test procedures carried out for toxicological and pharmacological studies, as well as for clinical trials provided by Directive 75/518/EEC. The objective of analytical validation on samples of biological origin, such as plasma and urine, is to demonstrate the reliability of result for drug and metabolites obtained for pharmacokinetics, metabolic, and bioavailability studies. The criteria are those contained in the Good Laboratory Practice (GLP) guideline and consist of specificity, precision, repeatability, reproducibility, accuracy, linearity, range, sensitivity, limit of detection, and limit of quantification. No specific details are given for how validation should be performed, but several recommendations are provided. Since bioanalysis is often carried out in more than one laboratory, it is very important to be able to compare results between laboratories. Two cases should be considered. Case 1, Case 1, when the same test procedure is always used, quality control between the laboratories is necessary. And case 2, when using different test procedures, either a reference test method, that is control and standard, or an investigation of recovery in the individual method, using the same reference material should be available. Stability of the drug in the sample matrix should be determined for the length of time the matrix will be stored before testing, and studies on adsorption by the sample container and stopper should be undertaken. Test procedure must be described precisely, including the mode of sampling, condition of storage before analysis, and an exact description of the test conditions, including precautions, method of extraction, reagents, reference substances, and preparations should be provided. A system suitability test should be included to verify the separating power of chromatographic systems. Detailed formulas for the calculation of result should be provided, as well as statistical evaluation where appropriate reference, substance, identity, purity, and content must be fully established. Next, the United States Food and Drug Administration, that is FDA. The FDA provides a guideline for the format and content of the human pharmacokinetics and bioavailability section of an NDA application. This does not give specific guidance on the validation of analytical methods, except to say that a summary of the analytical methods employed should be provided together with documentation on the sensitivity, linearity, specificity, and reproducibility of the analytical method, including sample chromatogram and recovery studies. In 1990, a conference was held on the subject of analytical method validation, bioavailability, bioequivalency, and pharmacokinetic studies, sponsored by the American Association of Pharmaceutical Scientists, the US Food and Drug Administration, Federation, International Pharmaceutics, the Health Protection Branch, Canada, and Association of Official Analytical Chemists. The report from the conference was published and was intended to provide guiding principles for validation of methods used in bioavailability, bioequivalency, and pharmacokinetic studies. The report was intended to provide framework for the future development of US guidelines on the subject. Some principles and requirements for establishing a valid method are described and include: first, a specific detailed description of the method should be provided. Second, each step should be investigated to determine the extent to which matrix and environmental variables could affect the determination of the analyte. Third, a method validation report should be provided. Fourth, the same biological matrix should be used for validation as in the intended real samples. The stability of the drug in the matrix should be determined. Fifth, the concentration range must be defined in the method and standard curve derived. Six, an adequate number of standards must be used to define adequately the relationship between concentration and response. 7. The accuracy and precision with which known concentration of analyte in the biological matrix can be determined must be demonstrated. Within run and between run, accuracy and precision should be calculated with commonly accepted statistical procedure. Specific criteria must be set for accuracy and precision over the range of the standard curve. 8. The limit of quantitation, that is LOQ, should be determined by using at least 5 independent samples of standards and by determining the coefficient of variation and appropriate confidence intervals. In addition to principles, some specific recommendations should be considered when validating a method. That is, first recommendation: the stability of the analyte in the biological matrix at the intended storage temperature should be established. Second recommendation: to validate the procedure, the specificity of the assay method should be established with 6 independent sources of the same matrix. Third recommendation: to validate method, the accuracy and precision should be determined with a minimum of 5 determinations per concentration. The mean value should be within plus minus 15% of the actual value, except at limit of quantification where it should not deviate by more than plus minus 20% mean. The relative standard deviation around the mean value should not exceed 15% except for the LOQ where it should not exceed 20%. Are you understand? The mean value should not exceed 15%. except LOQ. For LOQ it is 20%. Fourth recommendation, the standard curve should consist of 5 to 8 standard points, excluding the blank with single or replicate samples. The standard curve should cover the entire range of expected concentrations. Fifth recommendation, the simplest relationship for response versus concentration should be determined and the fit should be statistically tested. These published proceedings of the conference gave acknowledgement to a very wide list of journals, individuals and organizations including the FDA and Health Protection Branch of Canada. As stated earlier, the FDA does not give detailed instruction for method validation. However, field inspectors conduct audit of bioequivalency and bioavailability data through district compliance branches. Companies therefore need to be conducting adequate validation studies which confirm the validity of data submitted in support of conclusions about bioavailability and bioequivalency. The FDA inspectors are provided with checklists from which to compile audit reports. For bioequivalency testing, these include description of the testing organization facilities, personnel, specimen handling procedures, equipment, pre-study analysis, in vivo methods validation, and sample analysis, data handling, and storage. Some of the major non-compliances which inspectors have found include some major non-compliances which inspector have found includes improper storage of samples, unskilled personnel conducting analysis, poor laboratory techniques, no record to document findings, failure to employ standard quality control techniques such as standard curves, absence of equipment the laboratory claims to be using, significant non-agreement between data reported to FDA and those audited on site, lack of validation of assay methodology. These are the non-compliances which inspector have found. These are the non-compliances which inspector have found. Some less serious issue of auditors, that is non-compliances inspector, these are the less serious issue: inadequate record of study sponsors, inadequate records of study sponsors, inadequate standard operating procedures, lack of written procedures for sample handling. These are the less serious issue. The next is the Japanese Ministry of Health and Welfare, MHW. As for pharmaceutical product, the MHW does not issue specific guideline for method validation in biological matrices. In the Japanese guideline for non-clinical pharmacokinetic studies, the objective of the studies are intended to examine the absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion of drugs, and issues of test methods and parameters to be determined are discussed. The only reference to validation appears in the test method section where it states assay methodology. The assay method and its sensitivity, precision, specificity, etc. should be clearly defined. The Australian Therapeutic Good Administration. The Therapeutic Good Administration (TGA) issued quite detailed guidelines for bioavailability and bioequivalence studies in 1989. The guidelines contain detail of assay validation requirements. Preference should be given to state-of-the-art HPLC or GC methods, and assay validation must be conducted in the laboratory which generated the study data. Detailed data on the specificity, accuracy, reproducibility, and sensitivity of the analytical procedure must be supplied as part of the study report. Specificity: evidence must be provided that the assay does not have interference from endogenous compound, metabolites, or other drug likely to be present in the study samples. Stability: it includes data should be accumulated to show the stability of the drug or metabolite in the relevant biological environment from time of sampling to assay under the conditions and duration of storage that apply. Minimum quantifiable concentration, that is MQC. The TGA defines, that is Therapeutic Good Administration, MQC as the lowest concentration which has a relative standard deviation of 20%. As best this can be measured, it is not necessary to define an MQC, that is minimum quantifiable concentration, if the lowest concentration encountered during sampling had a relative standard deviation of less than 20% during assay validation. Next, shape of calibration curve. It includes linearity is preferred and the shape should be defined in mathematical terms more than once, preferably 3 times, over a concentration range from the MQC to a value greater than the C maximum expected in the study. Calibration standard in the 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50. Pattern of concentration are preferable. The coefficient of determination R square should normally exceed 0.99. Assay precision and accuracy should be documented at 3 concentration, that is low, medium, and high, where low is in the vicinity of the lowest concentration to be measured. High is a value in the vicinity of C maximum, concentration maximum, and the medium is a suitable intermediate value. Intra-assay precision within days in terms of coefficient of variation should be no more than 10%, although no more than 20% may be more realistic at value of the order of the minimum quantifiable concentration. Inter-assay precision between days may be higher than 10%, but not more than 20%. Accuracy can be assessed in conjugation with precision, and in general an accuracy plus minus 10% should be obtained. Recovery: it includes documentation of extraction recovery at high and low concentrations is essential since the method with low recovery are in general more prone in inconsistency. If recovery is low, alternative method should be investigated. It is very important. If recovery is low, alternative methods should be investigated. From the standpoint of assaying study samples, calibration standards and sample blank, for example, plasma, should be analyzed with each batch of study samples on a daily basis. Calibration standards should be blank samples, for example, plasma spiked with known concentration of drug and prepared freshly each day from pure reference substance. Standards and seeded controls should be spaced throughout the batch. Failure to obtain reproducibility and linearity for the daily standards necessitate re-assay of the batch. Assay should be repeated if more than one control lies outside two standards deviations. That is inter-assay of the mean for that concentrations. Next, seeded controls. These are a valuable component of in-study quality assurance. Controls at 3 or more concentrations are prepared in plasma in bulk at the time of pre-study assay validation or at the time of sample collection. A control for each concentration is assayed on each occasion that the study samples are analyzed, and the concentration determined by reference to that date's calibration standards. If the concentration values determined from the seeded control are not within plus minus 10% of the expected concentration, the batch should be considered for reanalysis. If not within plus minus 20% of the expected concentration, the batch must be reanalyzed unless there is a very good reason not to do so. Seeded controls therefore provide a constant reference point between batches of assay as well as determining whether the drug is stable under storage condition used. Next, range of reported values. Concentration values less than the lowest calibration standard should be reported as less than the lowest calibration standard and should not normally be used in data analysis. Concentration values greater than the highest concentration used in the linearity studies should be highlighted and accompanied by validation data. Concentration values marginally above daily calibration standards may be reported if pre-study linearity data extended beyond such values. Concentration values less than the minimum quantifiable concentration must not be used in data analysis. The TGA that is therapeutic good administration guidelines also cover validation requirement for radioimmunoassay. The last in this chapter summary, the extent of guidance on method validation for both pharmaceutical analysis and bioanalysis currently varies widely from region to region. The extent of guidance on method validation for both pharmaceutical analysis and bioanalysis currently varies widely from region to region. With the increasing communications between regional authorities and the influence of ICH, this is expected to change, and it is likely that consistent guidelines will be developed across each region. If the guidelines are scientifically sound, reasonable, and agreed to by both industry and regulators, this should be of value to both partners in the drug development and approval process. These are the summary of overall chapter. This chapter I already told is very important. You learn in that chapter various guidelines, then good manufacturing practices, also FDA, also ICH guidelines, Japanese guidelines, Canadian health protection, Australian guidelines. These all are theoretical part. You read it home. Already notes are provided in Google Classroom. Thank you.